Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of TBH, To Be Honest. As you can see, we have a very special guest with us. We have Giovanni Brown. Gio, welcome.
Boy, I'm there, no, man. What's going on with you?
I'm here. Let me tell you. So I want to start this off. Normally, we go right into the guest, but I want to start this off with a testimony, right? The last recording I did was with Carl Cunningham, which was the director of Shahaye before me, right? So I do these recordings on Zoom, and when you end the meeting, Zoom automatically converts the recording, right? And saves it. So we do the meeting, we have an amazing conversation, right? And I close the meeting, end the meeting, something comes up, can't convert right now because something else is converting. I don't know what. Do it later, right? And the only option after that is okay. that's the only thing you can. That's the only thing you can hear. Just say
There's
okay.
nothing worse than the okay, bro.
Right. So I'm like, what? Like I've never done this before. This has never happened to me before. So I say, all right, let me click okay, because based on what it's saying, if it's saying I should do it later, then it should be saved somewhere. And so I'm like, all right, it must be somewhere. I click OK. I'm looking at Zoom. I can't find anything anywhere. I'm looking in meetings, looking in recordings, all over. And I'm like, yo, it was so just depressing.
Right.
And the thing with these things is they can never be replicated.
Right.
Never. I remember I did an interview for a girl and it wasn't saved. And we had to do it over, and it's like you're in your head because you're trying to replicate the first one, and it's not as authentic. And so I'm like, yo, no. And I was about to text a friend and tell her, yo, I'm so heartbroken right now. But then I thought, you know what? No, God got this. God would not let this be lost. So I'm like, God has to work this out. And then something just told me, because when it saves automatically in your documents in a Zoom folder. And something just told me, check the folder. I went into the folder and I saw that it was there. It wasn't converted as yet, so I couldn't watch it, but I just had to find out what was going on at the time that prevented it from converting. I found that, ended that, and I clicked on it and it converted. And I was like, yo, thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, man. So
that's beautiful.
I just had to start this one off because that was the last one with that testimony. But Gio, first question. Who is Giovanni Brown?
Well, Dale, I'd say that I'm a person that values my relationship with God. And I value my relationship with others. I value my relationship with my sister, my girlfriend, my parents, and I kind of the choir, and I care deeply about that. I'm a family man. I am also a person that believes in being a person of integrity, in being somebody who says what you mean and mean what you say, being a person that follows up. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm terrible at following it, but a person that aligns. You understand?
Yeah.
We're not try gear no gear or go around the corner with you. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
And I'm also a person that believes in excellence. Believes that things, the work should be done well. And many times it actually causes me to wait and a lot of stuff. Some things will be like, yo, we gotta go. But it's kind of like, whoa, wait. This may actually be, you know? So I just stopped for like this great time. And it kind of caused me to be somebody that thinks a lot because I really care a lot about committing to an excellent result. So I guess I'll stop there.
Cool. I'm interested to know your introduction to music, because so when I met you in 2018, right? You were a freshman in college and you auditioned for the choir. So I know that you had vocal abilities. And then there was a Mr. and Mrs. Freshman. Was that what it was?
Fresh Prince, Fresh Prince, Fresh Prince, Fresh Princess.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your talent piece, I see you on the keyboard now and playing this thing that you wrote it or you arranged it, and it had some snarky poppy vibes to it. I'm like, I had some creativity. And then even way after that, probably last year, I saw a clip of you at some crusade, I believe it was, playing drums. I'm like, let's do it. All right. So
Really?
tell me about your introduction to music and your development musically.
What I'd say is, so music has been some. I can't speak enough about this, about how blessed I am to have the parents that I have. And I mean, in this instance, particularly my dad.
Mm-hmm.
My father is just a genius on so many levels. But he has always been producing albums and those kind of stuff. So I'd be in my room upstairs, and all of upstairs is the studio. And people would come over, people from NCU actually at that time, from different people, Caris, Daniel Clark, the past director.
Right.
And so many people would come over. I loved it because, mommy used to cook really great stuff when they came around. And it was a vibe. But music was just always there. It was just always there. Music production, recording, vocalists, orchestration, all of it was just always there and always around ever since I was in diapers.
Mm-hmm.
There's this picture of me playing a little piano. I don't think I was making sense of it. But my dad said he was surprised when he was looking at me playing it because it looked like I was actually playing something. Mm-hmm. It never had any sound in it, but it looked as if I could play the piano. But I started piano class. I stopped. 2 weeks and it was like, nope, I don't want to do this. So I just started fooling around the keyboard, fooling around it. And that has been really my development, listening, playing with it. And then I fell in love with the drums. And I decided that I wanted to be a drummer. No more keyboard. I want to be a drummer. So I decided to be a drum. And my dad, just being the amazing guy that he is, got me drums, like more than one, and went into how to create electronic drum sets. And we started, a guy there. And I was into the drums for a long time, and to this very day, I'm genuinely a very rhythmic person. So I guess that's where the drum thing would have came in. But I started to fall in love with the keyboard when I recognized how much it melded with the way I thought and the role that I want to play in music. So I recognize that I am really passionate about how music works and putting them together, and this doing this and this doing that and that coming that, and all of them fitting together into this tight thing that we call a groove. And when all of them work together, that has just, and the keyboard has been my way into that. So through the keyboard, I can play the drums. Through the keyboard, I can play the strings, and I can become an orchestra. Through the keyboard, I can become a regular keyboard player, regular piano player. Through the keyboard, I can become a guitarist. And through the keyboard, I became able to put all the things that were in my head into one space. So the keyboard became my way into that. And I became a keyboard player.
All right. Interesting. You said that rhythm was so important to you. For me, I was a harmony person. So harmony was my thing, right? And then I realized over time that I was rhythmically deficient.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
harmonically
deficient. Really, because I had a kind of, my sister Ashley, they just sing a song and they just sing all the parts like For me, it's kind of not as easy. I kind of have to be like, and say, oh, that works, and then fit them together.
Right.
The flow was naturally coming.
Yeah. I remember when I was in school and we'd have the different, because I was a music major, and the assignments with harmonies, I'd ace those. Ace is an overstatement. With Dr. Robinson, you're not acing anything. But our C plus is an ace, right? But the rhythmic things now, when he's got to play the thing and you have to write what he said, what he played, and figuring out what the quarter notes and the triplets, I think that was always a challenge for me. So yeah, it's interesting how musicians, two keyboardists, but different things are priority or our strengths and so forth.
Yeah.
So, all right. Now, I was director of Shahaye for quite a while, right?
Yeah. A really good one too.
Appreciate that. Praise God. Now, I remember my friend Wilton James would always tell me, find the person that comes and takes over, right? And make sure that the person comes and directs the choir a couple of times, has a few practices with the choir, so the choir gets used to the new director, so the transition is smooth, right? Wise words. Very wise words. But I just couldn't find that person, right? The choir had some talented people. The choir had some leaders, some musical people, but the level of musicality and leadership coming together to create that person that would be the director, as well as availability, I couldn't find the person, right? There are a few people that came in and helped a couple times when I couldn't be there or so forth and so on. And so I'm like, wow, I really don't know what's going to happen. Can't find anybody. And 2018, I had plans of leaving, migrating. So I'm like, wow, I really don't know what's going to happen, right? And then something said that boy that was on the keyboard playing the snarky puppy type thing, he has the right charisma. He clearly has musical ability, but not just musical ability, creativity, because that's crucial for Shahaye. It's not just to copy and paste. Shahaye is a group that is going to come with something new. But this was your first semester, right? Normally the person would be on the choir for a while. There was a time when freshmen couldn't even join Shahaye.
Right.
You have to sit out a year and then you can audition, right? So first semester, not even this semester is even done yet. And I'm like, wow, Gio, that is the guy. Tell me what that was like for you, starting NCU, university, join this choir, and in a couple of weeks, you're now the next director. Talk to me about that.
Well, Dale, it was interesting for me because by the time I had gotten to NCU, I had a fairly decent idea of what I was about and who I was as a person. So a lot of that transformation for me, where I'd gotten mature and those kind of stuff happened in high school and had paid off significantly. God is really good in his timing and how he allows things to unfold. But came to NCU and I was just, this is cool. I'm in college. There, the girls, the fun, the friends, the new people, and I love meeting new people. So it was just phenomenal for me. I was there, people talking about, say, oh my gosh, I got to do USM. We can't believe. I mean, I said, I'm not so sure about that. So I came, and there was this day when I recognized that we were having Singspiration, and I was friends with Jackson from the time we were Willowdene together, and LaFara, and there was Singspiration coming up, and Singspiration is this nice thing that happens at UE, where the university students really come together, they sing, and it's a really fun day. I was like, okay, cool. I want to go to this. And LaFara was like, it's a Shahaye singing there on Saturday. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So you guys take hitchhikers, like I can just come and you just carry me if you have space and things. And she's like, no, not really. Not really how it works. And I said, but you said, we have to audition tomorrow. yeah, tomorrow, after tomorrow, I've practiced. I think it was a Thursday practice, and tomorrow I've practiced. If I honestly, I'm saying, I'm not sure if the choir thing are really my thing, really, because I liked choirs, and with my school choir, led by Ashley, who now came and joined Shahaye and is now the soprano section leader, when won JCBC finals together. And that was a great time because choirs can be fun. But I was like, I'm not really sure if me really there for that. But I came, alas, because I wanted to come to Singspiration on the Saturday. So I was like, well, we can't do this. Got inspiration on Saturday, and see how it goes. So that's for that reason I actually don't judge choir members for the motives. I just don't. Because what I found when I came there, Dale, was so much more than I expected. What I found when I came here was so much more than I expected. One, I had to come and I had to sing songs that I don't know on stage, which kudos to you.
Yep.
Join when sang songs that I didn't know. But by the time I started to get a hang of it, I was like, yo, that you can sing. And it was Chadiq. I didn't know him at the time. I was like, yo, that you can sing. But it was just so great. I called my parents. I said, Mommy, I have to come listen to the choir. And my choir come and I sat there in rehearsal, Dale. And I was just like, wow, these guys are so gifted. And it was fun for me because I never really got to explore my vocal singing musicality in that sense because I haven't been singing songs like that. So all the music that I know, it was kind of like, oh, so I kind of just guess where we were going and we're actually going there. And it was a fun exercise for me to do that because I hadn't known the songs. But I was like, wow, these guys are skilled. I mean, there's a lot of potential sitting in this room. And I love the people on the choir. It was great having you there. And I thought to myself, wow, because of where I'm coming from, we've done so many things here. We've done productions, we've done albums, we've done musicals, and I've just been a part of that since my youth. And I was thinking, okay, this choir has a lot more potential than we are currently using it for. And I think that, yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. So as I was planning about how I was going to approach you about it, because I was like, yo, Dale, that's why you're bad. We can try this, we can try that way because I was so excited about Shahaye. And I was so excited to share them with you so that hopefully you'd be as excited as I was. And it'd be like, all right, cool, let's do this. I come to rehearsal one day and you're like, guys, I have an announcement to make. And just that setup by itself, I have an announcement to make. It's just like, wow, what's gonna happen? And you're like, I'm leaving. And we're like, what? Me ready about to get teary eyed. I said, oh my goodness, we can't believe this. We're gonna perish. But I've chosen some directors, and you went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Mighty, Shamel, Leslie, and Kavian. I was like, yeah, those are good people. Those are good people. And then you say, and Giovanni Brown. and I'm like, what? What? I slide into my chick. Everybody turns around like, this you, bro? And I'm like, this and I recognize that was the case. What was that like for you? I mean, what? You didn't even like come to me one way. You're just like, you're gonna be the new director, and everybody at the same time. I just phoned up with everybody. I was like, oh,
cool. Let me tell you what was, in hindsight, maybe both a strength and a weakness of mine was like just this almost irrational belief in my members. Almost irrational. I think like 99% of it is valid, and sometimes, but I just had this belief in them. And why I say sometimes it's a strength and sometimes it's a weakness. Sometimes preparation is good, and sometimes it's good to make sure somebody is adequately prepared. And I didn't always do that because I just believed in my members so much. So I just be like, yo, Natty, jump on that solo. Yo, let's see. come direct this and whatever. Cause I just saw the
Gio, come direct the choir.
I just saw the potential, right? So yeah, I as I said, I saw the potential in you. And in hindsight, yeah, I could have taken your side. By the time I was like, nah, I'm just gonna add them
That
to
was
this
fun
list
though.
and just announce it. So yeah, and I saw the reaction and I knew the reaction was gonna come from the members because it always happens every time there's a transition in leadership. But this one was different. This time was different because as I said, freshman, just joined the choir, not even at the very beginning of the semester, just joined the choir, and he's gonna lead us. He's younger than us, both in age and in college experience and Shahaye experience. And I know how people are. So I expected that, but I just had this belief that, yeah, man, Gio can get it done. I knew you would need the team. There's no way I could just throw you in front like that. So I said, all right, let me put together this team. Mighty has subbed for me before and he's shown leadership. Leslie is a leader. Shamel automatically is just leadership right there, just her personality.
Yeah.
And Kavian, his music abilities, I said, all right, that'll be a good team to put together. So yeah, I just did it, man. What was it like though? Taking on leadership? Because I left November and then it was on you and the team. What was that like? Young, not knowing all the songs, but directing the choir.
Well, Dale, to be honest with you, I'm wondering where to start because it was a very interesting time. I guess this is more synonymous with me as a person, but I'm generally one with little respect for the status quo,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in some cases not as ideal
Mm-hmm.
because from the time I was a member, I
The 2
I
weeks.
saw that there was much more for the choir,
Uh-huh.
and it was evident to me that when you had said it, I was like, "Whoa, this is huge! I did not expect this. Oh my goodness, wow!" Next day, called my dad and he was like, "Yeah, I believe in you." I'm gonna say, "Wow," because this was a huge moment in my life, you know. So I thought about it. I'm gonna say, "Yo, but I probably may even do this with you." In the sense where it's like the things that God had laid on my heart and in my mind as dreams and aspirations for the choir that while I was just there, I was like, but oh, you actually can, you actually can do some really great stuff here. And that's the only basis on which I do things, which is that I believe I can do it well.
Mm-hmm.
But for the leadership team though, I came with this assumption that I came with an assumption of reform and progress in a sense, which was that um I had a mindset which was in many ways needed to be tweaked and stuff. But my some so for example, many decisions for me would have been clear because within the context of what I see the potential required to be, then we're making a decision based on what we're going after, not what we were at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of this. But this is what we do, and this is how we've been, and this is how we've been doing. And what is that? What? But we don't need to do this because this is how we can do, and this can be
Right.
more efficient, and this can be more effective based on who I am
Mm-hmm.
and based on how. But Mighty was in charge, and I was observing, and I mean, we found ways to cooperate more. We had differences in personalities and stuff like that. And I think that I wouldn't say that it was a bad decision on your part, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'd say that we definitely had some stuff to work through.
Mm-hmm.
There was Mighty. I mean, I love Mighty, man. Sure. Guy there, my brother. So there was this day we in the we in the where this is an example by the way. So we're in the rehearsal room downstairs. This is the first time I'm about to lyric the choir ever. Um,
A
um,
performance.
right. And I remember this one struggling with this. Anyways, but it's first time to do it choir for a performance. I think I had 2 songs that I was going to do, and we had rehearsed downstairs, and we were like, all right, cool, we can do this. Let's go. Um, go upstairs. We just done rehearse. Go upstairs. Mighty's like, me do it the choir. I'm like, what? Well, we just done practice. We just done practice, and now we are come upstairs. And it's like, nah, me do it. And I'm like, what? But no. I guess I understand in the sense that there were more than one leaders, and he was the person who was in charge of the group. By saying he was the father figure of the group, and it would indeed be good for us to, you know, to collaborate in those senses, where people who are not about can also understand that, you know, this guy is also a significant contributor.
Right.
Um, I wanted to ask me a different question though. Not a different question, because that's a great question. But I want to get to it was a great time. Shamel is great. She's just a light in the room. It's I enjoy thoroughly having her every time she's there. She's very strong opinion, and that's a great attribute. And she carries a lot of energy. She's just like the right hand man of whoever is directing. And I love that. Leslie Ann has just been the voice of wisdom and guide in my view. Even to this very day. I just feel like I just want to tell her what my thoughts are so that she can just because I value her opinion very much. Because I think she's a very measured person.
Yeah.
Mighty is also a very wise guy, very skilled in music and fun and funny. Kavian is kind of like our silent partner in a sense. I remember a few times or two where Kavian would give a great insight, but yes, Kavian was one of our more silent partners.
Yeah.
And the group of us worked together for some time, but we had to establish the fact that we had to progress from that, because a choir or this choir is a very leader-centric thing. It's a very leadership and decisions about leadership should be clear and should come from a central place.
Right.
A central person.
It's funny you say Kevin. Kevin doesn't always comment, but when he does, it's golden. I remember there's one time the choir was getting out of hand discipline wise. And I had to come down hard on the choir with some new law. I had to lay down the law. and the choir was being very rebellious. And as I said, Shamel is the representation of the choir. Like and Kavian made a comment. Kavian said, I'm paraphrasing, but the essence was Kavian said, listen, he encouraged me, and this wasn't private, this was in the practice amongst the rebellion. And he said that the decision to create change won't be the popular decision. Pretty much that was the essence of what he's saying. Pretty much he's saying what you're doing there isn't popular, but it'll be necessary for the change that we need. Pretty much he said that, and I was like, wow, that was so, that's amongst the rebellion. And he was like, all right. And that was so encouraging for me to hear from a choir member amidst that. So yeah, man, Kavian has those gems in him when he does open his mouth.
I know the event on it deal. When I had come, I was like, what? I mean, because it was great and thing. And I was like, wait. I had this very strong view that when I had said it, all the other directors were like, we are not. But it was kind of like this view that we're going to progress, and those who are not a part of the progression will fall off. and we will continue. And we will continue to find the people who align with what we believe to be the standards of discipline and practice and excellence and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, ooh, because when I came, I recognized that there was this, you know, because everybody was, as you said, you're younger than us, you're this than us, and that kind of thing. And I was kind of like, but we can progress and we can leave those people to the side because they are very talented. Don't get me wrong, extraordinarily talented people. But in my thought, in my mind, I know that I'm thinking about it, and as I look back, I think that I would have been more effective had I been able to pursue that belief, which is that we are we I don't want to use the wrong analogy still, but there are over 70 disciples with Jesus. And Jesus make a statement one time and he's like, the other guy them and say, boy, that kind of rough, you know. And then the 12 remain.
Yeah.
And from the 12, we began to build this movement that we have now.
Right.
And I believe that, I mean, I should have been a lot more firm with it. I started to compromise in some of the things that I believe were necessary for the kind of progress that I thought we needed. But also, me as a director, I did not take the time to just appreciate what made Shahaye special to them. The family nature of it and those kinds of stuff. Those are things that, you know, in my older age, I'm starting to appreciate so much that these are the things that really make Shahaye great. It's not only about the great singing, but it's about the friends and the family and the relationship that we have as a choir and as friends and as people. And the spiritual connection that we can build with God. And it's just like, wow. Before I was kind of like, okay, cool. We want to do this, we want to progress, we want to start the music and because that means we have to be people on time. And it was kind of what, you know, but we live and we learn.
Yeah.
We're here today, I think we're stronger than ever. Ever since, this is something I wanted. There's something that I've found. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added unto you is a fact. It's not even like, it's not a suggestion, it's a fact. It's that seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added unto you. And I remember there was a time when the choir was kind of getting low because when I just came, the choir, at the end of the day, we always came together and we could pull through something good. And then there was a time when, it was kind of getting bad. And I remember the first time we actually had a bad performance. I was like, wow. This is bad.
It's possible. It's possible, yeah.
Right. And then and what I recognized came as I came was this emphasis on the spiritual life of the choir. And as we started to develop that, and as that started to grow and mature, choir members are here that have just not experienced failure, regardless of we could be like in separation before we get on the stage. Like everything is about to fail and the world is about to fall down and we go up there and kill.
Yeah.
And I think God has just been so consistent and reliable in the sense that He has not caused us to fail in one instance once we decided to really, develop that side of it.
Yeah, man. All right, so you spoke about that time in your life, right? It was also an interesting time for me, right? Because you were speaking about the choir members that, are saying, this isn't how we do this, and this isn't how. Best believe, after practice, they're messaging me, right? So, yeah. So I remember whatever days y'all practice or performing, I'm getting these messages, these reports, right? Both sides, as a matter of fact, because some persons are messaging me complaining about you. Some persons are messaging me defending you and complaining about the behavior of other choir members. So I have to have this balancing act now, because I have to be like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I understand. But at the end of the day, I have to still be lifting you up and saying, yeah, but Gio is a director. And I warned against this. I knew it's going to happen regardless, but I warned against this right before I left. I was like, Gio's a different person, different mind, different ideas, different way of doing things. you can't expect Dale from Gio, right? It's not gonna work. And every leader had some of that to deal with. When I got Shahaye, so I was the assistant director of Kingdom Praise, right? And yes, so as an assistant director, I was associated with Kingdom Praise long before Shahaye. And then I got Shahaye, and I was still acting as assistant of Kingdom Praise. Now, as you know, every semester, people audition for the choir. A lot of the time, in my time, persons would be on Kingdom Praise maybe the first year, because as I said, freshmen can't audition for Shahaye. And then maybe the second or third year, they might go to Shahaye. So I become the director of Shahaye, and naturally, some Kingdom Praise people audition for Shahaye. Shahaye members, the previous, since they come, all a KP, you know, this might as well call this KP. It would have been like 5 people. This a KP, you know, and anything that I did would have been like compared to, and you always had some choir members that were still encouraging, and there were things that I could have done better, but as I said,
Same.
Right. But as I said, it's gonna happen. Persons are gonna complain, and so I'm doing this kind of balancing act and trying to hear their concerns, but still say, but you have to kind of work with it and think. So that's going on throughout the year, and then summer of 2019 happened. Now I didn't do things the best way, but let me share from my perspective how that went down, right?
Wait, before we go there, Dale, I want to verbalize what one of the things I think I could have done better for the choir members.
Sure.
When that came, I was really not I wasn't as good at piano. So I could play the keyboard, and when I'm in my studio and I have my ability to refine and fine tune, and it kind of make you get lazy. You know, but when I came, the choir had a whole lot of material.
Right.
Like a whole lot of material, complex material. And I was like, I don't need to learn these parts, because one, I don't know it, and I doesn't even know the structure of the songs.
Right.
And efficiency. So it would come parts where choir members weren't so sure and stuff like that, and I would not be able to affirm them because I didn't know either.
Right.
And I didn't spend the time getting to be familiar with the music. And I think that was a big downfall, because I viewed the choir in a different light. I viewed it in a way that, okay, cool, we can put these stuff together, and section leaders can be in place. We can handle all the music. Me kind of more focus on the shaping and the sound and how it's interpreted, and we'll focus on the other elements of the choir that we want to build, the stuff that kind of put it in sub-departments, kind of like how you would have in a company. And I recognize that in pursuing the broader view of the choir that I had, I did not fulfill for the choir members the essential duty of being the man of the music, or being the man with the music.
Right.
So
yeah, bro. So all right. So I remember when I think when I just migrated, and I would have still been in the Shahaye group, the WhatsApp group. So I'm still in communication, and I mentioned somewhat in jest, but somewhat seriously, about, you know, the choir coming to New York. Like, yeah, you guys can come sing and what's in that, and like, yeah, I'd love to do that. All right, cool. So as summer approaches, and more choir members are telling me that they're traveling, so I message in the group, okay, all those who are going to be in the States in the summer,